right, guys, so the purpose of today's lesson is to find magnitude and direction and bearing of a vector given in algebraic form, okay? So you'll need graph paper and a calculator for this. All right, so first problem we're gonna do is we're gonna do a couple that don't require a calculator, okay? So the first problem we're gonna do is vector v is 4i minus 4j, okay? So remember, that's the I-axis, that's the j-axis. So 4i minus 4j just means you go over 1, 2, 3, 4, down 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that's vector u. You always draw a right triangle where that's 4 and that's down 4. Okay, so one thing that's kind of cool is we're going to learn a new notation today. When you do double line, v in the middle, double line, that is magnitude. Okay, so anytime the book does this or I do this, it just means find the magnitude. Okay, so the magnitude of a vector is just simply how long it is. The length is always the hypotenuse of a right triangle, and you will use your special triangle sometimes. So remember from geometry class, if these are the same, that means that this is a right angle and these angles are the same, which means they're both 45. So this is a 45, 45, 90 triangle. The relationship is that this is 4, this is 4, and this is 4 root 2, okay? So I know, without even doing the Pythagorean theorem, that the magnitude is 4 root 2. Now, of course, if I wanted to do the Pythagorean theorem, I could. 4 squared is 16, 4 squared is 16, that's the square root of 32, which is 4 root 2. So you can also use the Pythagorean theorem for that. It works, of course. Okay. All right, the direction is always measured from the positive x-axis, okay? So if I'm here and I go all the way around to there, that's the direction. Okay, but, so we know, hold on, so this is 270, this is 360. So we know that the direction is bigger than 270 and less than 360. And we also we don't need a calculator for this, because if this is 4 and this is 4 and this is 45, then this is also 45. So we know that it's 270 plus 45, which is 315 degrees, okay? So if it's right in the middle, it has to be in the middle between 270 and 360. So we know that the direction is 315, okay? So direction is 315 degrees. Remember, that's measured from the positive x-axis, okay? We also learned bearings when we did law of sines and law of cosines. The bearing is the same, okay? So if you're at that origin and this is where you, like the end point, you'd have to go south and then east to get to that. So when you do a bearing, okay, remember the first direction you always do is north or south. So in this case, it's south. And then it's an acute angle, in this case 45 degrees, in the east direction. Okay, so those are the 3 pieces of information I want you guys to find when you do vectors, okay? All right, the next problem is going to be vector w, okay? We're gonna use the other notation, so negative 2 root 3, comma negative 2. Okay. So this one we have to approximate a little bit. Negative 2 times root 3. Root 3 is like 1.7, so that's like 3 and a half. 1, 2, 3. So it's negative 2 root 3, and then down 2 would place the vector right here. And this is negative 2 root 3, and this is negative 2. Okay, so again, to find magnitude, if you recognize this ratio, x root 3, 2x, you can use your special triangles to get w with the magnitude without even doing the Pythagorean theorem. So I know that the magnitude of w is 4 based on my geometry special triangles, okay? If you didn't recognize that, just do Pythagorean theorem. Negative 2 squared plus negative 2 root 3 squared equals the distance squared. This is 4, this is 12. Okay, so you can get the distance that way also. So knowing your special triangles just saves you time, but Pythagorean theorem works also, okay? All right, now as far as direction goes, okay, remember direction is here. Our direction is bigger than 180, smaller than 270, okay? For direction, we always use tangent. That's a consistent thing we do. So we can use tangent to find that angle because that's the angle of a triangle. So if I set up a problem, it says the tangent of that angle is the opposite over the adjacent. Okay. If you reduce that by taking those negative 2's off, you get 1 over root 3. If you rationalize that, you get root 3 over 3. Okay. So we know, because we studied this a lot while we were actually together, what angles have tangents of root 3 over 3? They're all the 6's. Pi over 6 is positive, 5 pi over 6 is negative, 7 pi over 6, and 11 pi over 6, right? The positive ones are in quadrants 1 and 3. So we know this is not a quadrant 1 angle, so we know the answer is not pi over 6. We know it's a quadrant 3 angle, which would make this 7 pi over 6. I always think in radians in my head because I've memorized those. And then you do have to convert that to a degree. So 7 pi over 6 right here would be, makes this a 30-degree angle, so the direction is 210. Okay? And then the bearing, okay, whoops, would be to get from the origin to the tip of the vector, you go south, and then you go 60 degrees in the west direction. So these two are always going to be complements of each other, okay? So the bearing is you go south 60 degrees in the west direction. Okay, so again, the reason we didn't use a calculator for these is because these are tangent values that you can do in your head, okay? All right, this one has a tangent value of -1, right, which makes it the pi over 4's. Okay. So now let's, if you don't have a calculator yet, go ahead and grab one. Okay, so problem 3, okay, we are going to do vector W is -3i plus 4j. Okay, all right, so to graph that, you go over 3, down 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, draw your vector. This is, oh dear, hold on. Sorry, I did that wrong, hold on. Okay, -3 plus 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, that's better, sorry about that. Okay, so this is -3, this is +4. Okay, so one of the nice things is that I gave you a really easy one to find the magnitude of, okay? This is a 3, 4, 5 triplet. Remember, there's 4 triplets that you learned in geometry, 3, 4, 5, and 5, 12, 13 are the 2 most common ones, okay? They're all online too, you can look them up. So we know the magnitude is 5 without really doing any work on that, okay? If you don't know your triplets, do Pythagorean theorem. Okay, so this one's gonna be a little harder for the direction because the direction is this far, okay? So we know the direction's bigger than 90 and less than 180, but we can't do this in our head because if we try to find this angle using tangent, okay, that's not one of those unit circle ratios that we can do in our head. So we know this, has an answer and the calculator can get it for us. So in your calculator, I want you guys to type in tan inverse -4/3. Make sure you're in degree mode, okay? All right, so when you type that in, okay, you get -53.130. All right, so here's the deal. We're only using tangent, okay, but you have to remember that inverse domain for tangent is here. Every time you type in tan inverse of a positive, the calculator will give you a quadrant 1 answer. Every time you type in tangent inverse of a negative, it's going to give you a quadrant 4 answer. But that doesn't mean the vectors can't be in the other quadrants. You just have to adjust your answers. So the calculator gave you this right here. It gave you that this is -53.130. But these are vertical angles, so this has a positive value of 53.130. Okay? So to get the direction, it's just 180 minus that, because these two right here, okay, add up to 180. You can also add 180 to this one to get it, okay? So if you add 180 to that, you get that the direction, okay, is 126.87 degrees. Hold on, to save room for the bearing. Okay, so again, the direction is this red part right here, which is 180 minus 53.130. Okay, all right, as far as the bearing goes, okay, the bearing is going to be right here because it's north and then it's west until you get to that vector right there. This part and this part are always going to add up to 90. So just do 90 minus 53.130 and you will get your bearing. So your bearing, okay, is you go north and then 90 minus 53 is 36.870 in the west direction. Okay. All right, we're going to do one more of these. This one, you can try to do it by yourself and then fast forward to the answer and see if you got it right, or you can like watch me step through it, okay? All right, so this one, the vector is negative 3i minus j. Okay. So that's negative 3, that's minus 1, okay, and that's vector b. Okay, all right, this one's not a triplet or a special triangle, so I do have to use Pythagorean theorem to find the magnitude. So the magnitude is 3 squared, or negative 3 squared, same thing, plus negative 1 squared equals the distance squared. So this is 9 plus 1. So the square root of 10 equals the magnitude, okay? So the magnitude of V equals the square root of 10. So finding the magnitude is always the easiest part, okay? Now the direction, okay? Remember, the direction is from here all the way around to here. So this is 180, this is 270. So we know our direction is a little bit past 180. So make sure when you have your final answer, it matches your picture, okay? So again, we can only find this angle right here. We can't find the whole thing using tangent, okay? So when you set up your tangent, you would say tangent of the angle equals negative 1 over negative 3. Negative 1 over negative 3. So in your calculator, you would type in tan inverse of a third. You can just ditch those negatives, obviously. And the calculator gives you 18.435. Okay, so obviously the direction is not 18. 18 is right here, okay? It's giving you that this is 18.435, which means that this is 18.435, which makes the direction 180 plus that, okay? So the direction is all the way to here, which is 180, plus another 18.435. So that makes the direction, hold on, I don't have that, so I'll just do it in my head, plus 180. So it's going to be 4358. So it's going to be 198.435. Okay. Sorry about the smudgy. Okay, so I just did 180 plus 18.435, and I got the direction of 198.435, which matches my picture pretty good. Okay, and then for the bearing, okay. All right, so for the bearing, you always start from the origin, and you're trying to get to here, so you have to go south this time and west until you get to there. And remember, these always add up to 90. So you're going to do 90 minus 18.435, okay? And you're going to get that you go south, and then you go 71.565 in the west direction. All right, group. So try your homework. Remember, you can just turn your homework in when you're done. You do not have to wait until Sunday, okay? Some of you are saying that you're forgetting to turn it in. Just do it, turn it in right away. It's actually easier for me that way too. Then I don't get so many emails on Sunday, okay? And then don't forget we have office hours by Zoom. So just pop in if you have a question. And yeah, I'll see you guys soon. Bye.